Who else? Who else? I just saw Hootie. I saw Hootie Askowitz.
I saw Hootie. I did see Hootie. I saw Hootie.
Okay.
Right away.
You guys are welcome to say hello as we're welcoming everyone in. If you're an SAR alum, if you love Rabbi Fuld as much as I do, then you can just say hello. I see a lot of Rubens. Sarah Rubin, I think also. Romy Hartstock. Hi, Romy Hartstock. I don't know which Hartstock is on. Come on, put your videos on. It's okay. What do you have to hide?
Daniel Wildman. What country is that on from?
I'm on. Oh.
What are you doing there? You have to unmute to talk to me. You have to unmute.
Who are you talking? Who are you talking? Go ahead.
You have to unmute.
Okay. We're. Now I unmuted you, but we should. Can we allow people to unmute themselves?
I don't know.
Hootie.
How are you? Hi, Mary. I see you.
Hi, Hootie.
How you doing? It's so wonderful to see you. Chag Sameach.
Great to see you.
It's the best one on the calendar.
Send love to everybody, okay?
I certainly will, and there's to you.
Yeah, there's a Kinchis down there. Danielle Kinchis. Hey, Kinchis.
Kinchis.
Yes.
Wow, sure.
Hi. Sending love.
Yom Ha'atzmaut.
Kincha says.
Okay, keep on coming. They're still coming in. They're still coming in. Can you unmute me? It says, Becca, let's change the settings, allow people to unmute themselves because I'm not going to be able to get to everybody. I'm going to try to find Talia now.
Okay, so since there's a lot of people here, if you're not speaking, keep yourself on mute. And then if you want to ask a question, you could just click unmute.
Okay, great. So Talia, you can.
Danielle said Garcia Saba, okay?
Talia, is that Talia that asked me to be unmuted?
Does it work?
Yep.
Hi, Rabbi Fuld. It's Talia Spitz.
Hi. How are you?
How are you?
Great to see you.
You too.
Rabbi Yonah, the Wildmans are here as grandparents.
What?
The Wildmans are here as grandparents in the school.
I got it. So you can speak to me closer, I think, right? The Rose Life, how sweet it is.
Rabbi Fuld.
Hi, send love home. How's Bill, Susan, Zeif?
They're good, thank God, they're good.
Here's the road's right here.
Hi, Mary. Hi, Rabbi Fuld. How are you? I will, absolutely. Thank you.
Nice. Everybody else is welcome to unmute yourselves. This is free for all now until we start in about 2-3 minutes.
Hello.
So if anybody.
Rina, honey, Ohevet Hashamayim. Rina Rubin, you hear me or not? Oh,
there you go. Howard Rosenblum, what did you just say? You just tried to speak, Howard Rosenblum.
I said hello from New Jersey. El has grounded us.
We will not see the full Shavuos.
Aye, and not Nitzanim either. Aye.
No.
Stuck in Jersey.
Grounded by El.
Well, that's why there's Shalosh Regalim. You still got another chance.
Yeah.
We're booked for Yom Kippur.
Find out hopefully some Gedalia.
2 seconds. Can he be used like that in 1990?
Okay, Lynn Zadoff just walked in. I saw Lynn Zadoff just walked in. And well,
Hi, Rabbi Fuld. Great to see you.
Where am I seeing who is it? Rena I just sang to.
Who was that? Okay, I don't know who that was, but someone just said hello to you. I couldn't find her either. Okay.
Rena, it was Rena Rubin, I think.
Rena Rubin, there we go. There she is.
I saw Rena. I sang to Rena.
Hello, Yonah.
Hi, how are you?
Naomi Ullman Salman. Hi, Mary. I'm a grandparent at SAR now.
Where is she? Where are you? Oh, yeah, right here.
I'm that old lady in the corner.
Hi, not in the corner. That's where I spent my whole school life, in the corner.
In the corner. That's why I still went to SAR. No more corners. Yeah.
Yeah. That's corner office.
Same principal. That was deja vu for me. I was always in the principal's office.
Anyway, take care.
I see Deborah Prince waving. Deborah.
I missed you standing up on the steps of SAR.
Where? Oh, why is this blocked? I'll get it out of here. 1 second. Get it erased. Hey, Deborah. Hi, Deborah Spear. That's who it is. Hi.
That's me.
Something keeps popping up too. That's Marsha's husband? Yeah, there's Marsha.
There's Marsha. You see Marsha?
Yeah, David and Marsha, sure.
Oh,
Hi.
there they are. Hey, Marcia.
Hi, Mary.
Hey, David.
Yeah.
David. Hi, Mary. So good to
Mary,
see you.
you're walking so well, Mary.
Hi. Nice to see you.
We were going to come to Florida, but it didn't work out.
Next time.
Next time.
Sounds good.
Who
There's
knows?
Lynn. Hey, Lynn.
Hi, Lynn.
Lynn.
Lynn. How are you? Long time. Good to see you.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Lynn.
Hi, Lynn. Welcome.
Hi, Lynn.
How's everybody doing?
This feels good. The old homecoming week.
Is she dressed?
We're doing.
Baruch Hashem, we're doing.
There they are. Okay. All right. Rabbi, are we going to start? Is that okay?
Whatever you like is okay with me.
Okay. Chag Sameach to everyone. Chag Sameach to everyone. I guess okay. Thank you. I am not falling down the banister. Don't worry about it, Rabbi Fuld. This is like a weird background. I know you usually try to stop people before they do that. I just want to give, for those of you that don't know what most of you do, I moved to Queens, to a place called Hillcrest, Queens in 1980. My father was a rabbi. My parents moved to Queens. We came to Queens. I went to a school that no longer exists, but I befriended a kid my age. His name was Donnie Fuld. And I became basically a ben bayit at the home of Rabbi Yonah and Mary Fuld, and their incredible family. And a really unhappy fifth grader, as Rabbi Fuld noticed, and finally came to my parents and said, okay, this is ridiculous. Why don't I just have him come to school with me? So I learned how to drive in sixth grade. Going to school, Rabbi Fuld, every day, and then he actually became the van driver. The school bought a van and picked up about 15 kids along Jewel Avenue, and brought us to SAR, and it definitely changed my life. As I say to every prospective parent, when we meet with groups of prospective parents, I basically tell them that story of my transferring to SAR and becoming I would say a more successful student than I was, and certainly a happier student than I was before that. And like I said, made a big difference in my life, which is likely how I ended up back there now 15 years ago. But for all those in between years and those years, Rabbi Fuld, Rabbi and Mrs. Fuld did so much for me, including giving me my nickname, which I haven't been able to shake yet. So Benny, that comes from him too. And just, connected me to Torah, connected me to Medinat Yisrael. I said yesterday that I walked through the streets of Yerushalayim with him, and, they came alive for me through him. And so much and I know that I'm speaking for like almost everybody in this room. I see 47 people here, and so many of them are from those SAR days, whether you were teachers then and teachers now, or whether you were students then and are parents now, or whatever it might be. So much about, especially our connection to Medinat Yisrael, is a tribute to the Fuld family. And yesterday at Yom HaZikaron, we were honored by having Rabbi Yonah and Mary join us and to light a candle, and of course, deeply pained by the loss of Ari. Who is forever missed and has influenced so many people in our school, in the world, in the Jewish world, and the rest of the world, about what it means to be a member of Medinat Yisrael, and that is a loss that we'll never recover from. And today, Rabbi Fuld has agreed to share his story of his journey home with all of us, as we, from our homes, try to celebrate Medinat Yisrael, which means so much to us. So thank you, Rabbi Fuld, for being here. I apologize in advance for going between programs, but I will be kind of here and back. And we are very, very excited to hear from you, to learn from you, and to be inspired by you. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Rabbi Krause. I can just tell you, if I've never said it to you personally, I watch many of the activities on Zoom and on YouTube and different areas of the computer that are going on in SAR, and I marvel at your leadership. I marvel at the way you handle huge amounts of students. I'm just impressed by everything that you do, and I love you very much. I just want to greet Mrs. Bellin, who I haven't seen for a long time. Okay, I'm going to start, and I'm sure there are other people out there. I'd love to greet everybody, but it doesn't work that way right now. Chag Sameach. Chag Sameach, it's not just two words. Those are two gigantic words. That's the newest holiday in 2,000 years, to be followed by Yom Yerushalayim. 2,000 years we haven't had a chance to have a new holiday like that. It's the greatest nace in our times. An event that's unparalleled in the history of mankind. It's the rebirth of a nation which had been dispersed 2,000 years before. Never happened. Never happened. It tells of Jews coming back to a wasteland after centuries of abuse and torture and murder and creating a modern, beautiful land out of sand. And so the words Chag Sameach have to mean a lot to us. Every Chag is a Chag Sameach, but this is wow. This is wow. You heard I had the split of being in the administration of SAR for over 20 years. First as assistant to Rav Shwat, Alav Shalom, was my Rabbi. And after that, I came on Aliyah. I'm happy to say that there's not a week that goes by, not 1 week that goes by, that I don't have contact by phone or by email or in person with a graduate or a parent or a shliach that was in SAR at some time. And the nachat that I get is absolutely incredible. So all those people that are involved with SAR and supporting SAR and doing what you have to do to make sure that this place continues to grow, it's exceptional. There's nothing like it in the world. There are people here that are making their contributions. Rabbis, principals. 1 block from me is the principal of Chorev, Rabbi Rochelle, is a graduate of ours. A week before Pesach, I got called from Achinoam Nini. I spoke to Tamar Nini, her mother. I spoke to Ferziger. I worked in Bar Ilan with professors that are really outstanding professors in Bar Ilan, graduates of SAR. I could go on and on to name people that are involved, retirees, lawyers, rabbis, doctors, principals, teachers, just everything in every area, bloggers involved in politics, all graduates of SAR making magnificent contributions here to this country. Anyway, I was asked to share with you my personal journey of Aliyah and what influenced me in my life to come to this point. I was born in 1943. Before you take out your fingers and your toes, I'm 77 years old. Okay? I'm 77 years old. But 1943 is a date that's very, very important in terms of history. Being old or older, whatever it is, has its ups and its downs. But I feel that I've led a charmed life. I am a bridge between the past and the future, and enjoying every minute of it. Where do I come from? My grandfather was a decorated soldier in Germany in World War I. I don't know if this picture is clear at all. I'll just try to hold it up the old-fashioned way. That was my grandfather. He had a chest full of medals. A hero fighting for his country, But there weren't 6 feet under the ground that were reserved for him. He went up in smoke. I have no yahrzeit because we don't know the date. So we picked the date. Mary's father, my parents, both my parents, left immediately after Kristallnacht, Leil Havdalah. They were fortunate to get papers from somebody in Texas. My father was held by the SS only for 6 hours. They're able to leave. Mary's father, Hashem Yikom Damo, was married. Mary's father, now I'm old, but once upon a time we weren't old, those that remember. Mary's father was married for a woman with 2 children. His wife and his 2 children murdered. He then married Mary's mother, who spent more than a year in Auschwitz. Her husband was also killed by Hungarian border guards. Hungarian border guards, not Germans, Hungarians. So, that's our history. That's my family's history, a little bit of it. But guess what? That's the people's history. That's our people's history. We cared about every country that we lived in, but we were guests. We were guests at the good wishes and whims of those countries for as long as it lasted. Mary's mother was in Auschwitz for a year, but she was a hero in Auschwitz. She literally saved the life of another woman from in front of Dr. Mengele, Yamach Shemo v'Zichro, with all the whips, and all the dogs barking, and everything terrible was going on. She was a hero. I tell you that in part because Mary and I were the parents of 5 sons who proudly wore the uniform of Tzahal. I don't have all their pictures, but again, I'd like to show you the old-fashioned way. I don't have the split screen yet. That's a picture of Ari, who was a hero all of his life. This is a picture of my son Eitan. That's a picture of my son Eitan. All my sons served at some time or another in Tzahal, Tzva Haganah Yisrael. Proudly. Different uniform, fighting for our country with capital letters, O-U-R, Artsenu, our country. And the bridge that I talked about, think about Ari, Eitan, our youngest over here, is working daily in the Knesset of Israel. He's the assistant to a SAR, to a minister of the government. So my mother-in-law came from Auschwitz. My son works in the Knesset of Israel every single day. Our grandchildren now are wearing uniforms as well, proudly, Baruch Hashem. When Eitan went into the army, he went in right after Pesach. And he went and he asked his Rabbi, can he make a shechayanu on his uniform? Because it was Sfira, number 1, and because it's the uniform of Tzva David HaMelech. He went to the mikveh. Mikveh was closed that night, so he went to a spring. He went to the mikveh. We came to bring him to the place where he was inducted. And tens, the recruitment center, and tens of soldiers dancing, Shomrim Hafkei Li'ircha, Kol Hayom V'Chol Halayla. This is the story of the bridge that I'm talking to you about. There's a Midrash Shochar Tov that I'd like to read to you. It's become famous. It's very beautiful. It was written probably 600 years ago. The Midrash says, Mashal Av Ben Shayu Malchim Baderech. A father and a son were going along the way. V'nityageh Ben. And the son got tired from the trip. V'amar la'av. And he said to the father, Abba, listen to these words, Hechan HaMedina. That's how he expressed himself in the Midrash. 500-600 years ago, it said, Hechan HaMedina. We all know what we call Israel. Amar lo, the father said to him, B'ni, siman yehi bi'adecha. I'll give you a sign to know when you get close. Im ra'ita beit kvarot lefanecha, harei hamedina krova lach. When you see a cemetery in front of you, then you know the Medina is close to you. Well, 1945 made Europe the biggest cemetery in the world. And yesterday, thousands of young boys gave their lives, and girls, gave their lives so that we could live freely in this country. We memorialized them yesterday. Yesterday was the day that we thought about this great cemetery, but now we have the Medina. We celebrate the Medina in a new way. I had teachers, I had a professor, particularly in college, who said to us, in order to fully enjoy the light, there has to be darkness. I thought he was a cynic. I mocked it. I didn't believe it. I didn't listen to it. But we talk about me'afela li'ora, mitzara li'rvacha, mishi'abud li'gula. It sounds like this contrast that we're talking about, this Beit Parot from before, somehow Dayan HaEmet has decided that comes first. So how did my life start for me? I'll tell you, really my very first memory in life, I have to estimate that I was 3-4 years old. You can guess as well as I can. My father, Alav Hashalom, davened at home one day and took his talit off and put it on the couch, on the sofa in our house. I picked up the talit, I put it around my shoulders, and I chuckled and faked and mumbled and made believe that I was davening. I didn't know how to daven, obviously, but I was mimicking as a child, so you can guess it was the same way I'm saying, 2, 3, 4 years old. I can remember clearly until today that my father put his hands on my shoulders from behind and steered me around. What did he steer me around to? He steered me around. On our Mizrach wall, we had a plate. Those that are old enough to remember, in those days, everything was this turquoise blue color. And there was a small picture, no bigger than the fingers that I'm showing you right now, of the kotel in the middle. So it was a plate hanging on our wall with a surrounding border of blue, and the middle was a picture of the kotel. My father put his hands on my shoulders and he said, the Jew faces Yerushalayim when he davens. And that's my first conscious memory in life. Obviously, it left something in my mind. I didn't get over that so quickly. Another early memory was, I believe it was November 29th, Kaftet November, 1947. Kaftet November, I believe that was the date. That was a Friday, and the UN was voting on whether there was to be a state of Israel. It's the only time in my whole life that I remember that my parents left the radio on over Shabbat. I can picture it till today. We had a corner table, and there was a radio on the floor. It was a gray Emerson radio with a C-clef picture on it. It was playing quietly in the corner over there. The sheet was over it. And that was, again, one of my early memories before I actually know what was in their life. I never saw my father cry, never. But only over Tisha B'Av, when his tears dripped down to my hands. And I would ask him why. And he spoke about the Churban, you know, what happened 2,000 years ago. And these were the things that were my background. And then I went to school. And I went to a good school. Not as good as SAR, but a good school. And I was a little child, really very young. And we sold 5-cent stamps. 5 cents, that's right, 5 cents. That's what it was in those days. To drain the Fula swamps. We went and we knocked on doors, and I was a great schnorrer in my day. And we knocked on doors. We went to the butcher. We went to the dentist. We went to everybody, knocked on every door in every apartment house. Learned to make a short introduction and to say that there were swamps and malaria and mosquitoes and everything that we could tell about it at whatever age we were. And we sold stamps to try to help Israel, the International Fund, to drain the Fuld swamps. That's not just nothing, the Fuld swamps. That's something that's important. Because, you know, in the parsha of the Klalot, curses, all the terrible things that will happen to Bnei Yisrael, to Am Yisrael, if they don't follow the Torah properly. After the terrible things that the Torah prescribes and says will happen, mental disease, physical disease, poverty, not good to repeat more, horrible. Chukotai, you can look it up, you all know it. After Galut and everything horrible that is foretold that will happen to Klal Yisrael, there's a pasuk that says, "Hashimoti aniyat haaretz," and I will make the land become shomein. I will make the land become desolate. The land, the earth, the dirt will become desolate. And Rashi, in the 10th, 11th century, I believe, that's a Rashi that's worthwhile looking up on the Hashimoti an Haaretz in the Parsha of Bechukotai. He says, Zo midat tova Yisrael. Whoopee, that's a great thing for Am Yisrael. Rashi in France in the 10th, 11th century, and the clouds are horrible. And Rashi says at that time, Zo midat tova Yisrael. That's a beautiful thing for Am Yisrael. Yay! Why? Because no other people could live in Israel. No other people could cultivate the land. Somebody closer in time, at least, than Rashi, I copied down Mark Twain. Everybody knows Mark Twain, the American writer. He visited Israel in 1867. He wrote, and I quote, "Desolation is here that not even imagination can grace. We never saw a human being on the whole route. The further we went, the hotter the sun got and the more rocky and bare. Repulsive and dreary the landscape became. There was hardly a tree or a shrub anywhere. Even the olive and the cactus, these last friends of a worthless soil, had almost deserted the country. No landscape exists that is more tiresome to the eye than that which bounds the approaches to Jerusalem. Jerusalem is mournful, dreary, and lifeless. I would not dare to live here. It is a hopeless, dreary, heartbroken land. Palestine sits in sackcloth and ashes." Hashimoti aniyat haaretz became true, and 2,000 years later, almost, a little boy could go around and all of his classmates to sell 5-cent stamps to drain the murderous swamps. And I need not tell you what Israel is like today. I had good teachers. My father taught me well. My father taught me U'ei b'tuv Yerushalayim. Part of a pasuk in Shir HaMalach, U'ei b'tuv Yerushalayim. And he told me, see the good in Yerushalayim, see the good. See the good is important. We all know that, people. We all know that. The difference between how people see the exact same thing is huge. 180 degrees difference between. Woody will remember clearly, we learned the story of the Meraglim in Shlach. I think we learned that together, correct? Woody, we learned it together. Yes, we did. So In this parsha of Shlach, we meet the 12 Meraglim who were Kulam Anashim, Anshe B'nai Yisrael. They were Talmidei Chachamim, they were Admorim, they were the Rebbeim, they were the Rosh Yeshiva. They were the leaders of the people. Kulam Anashim. I didn't make that up. Look at the Mefarshim. They're all great. And they come back. In short, you all know the story, but I wonder if you know this. Hudi knows it. There's a pasuk that's written there twice, or part of a pasuk. It says, Ha'aretz asher avarnu ba laturota. Twice it says that. Ha'aretz asher avarnu ba laturota. The land that we went to and toured it. And then it splits. Two different psukim, two different ways. Some say, Ha'aretz asher avarnu ba laturota, Eretz ochelet yoshvea. It's a land that eats up, it devours its people. It's a horrible land. And two said, Ha'aretz asher avarnu ba laturota, tova ha'aretz me'od me'od. It's a very, very good land. And so, believe me, my father taught me, well, we're a betuv Yerushalayim. Have the right spectacles on. See the good in Yerushalayim. Only see the good. I know what's out there in the world. I know what's out there. I read the news. I know what's out there. They're wrong. You see the same thing that I see. But my father taught me well. I went to school and I had excellent teachers. They taught me how to daven. And not only did they teach me how to daven, they taught me the meaning of davening. And I tried to pay attention sometimes to what I was saying. And I learned, we were thrown out, we were kicked out of Eretz Yisrael because of a chataim. It was punishment to be kicked out of Eretz Yisrael. It was punishment to be out of Eretz Yisrael. And then we davened, bring us back together in peace from all corners of the land. The Karev Pizureinu Mibein Hagoyim. Bring back all those that are dispersed among all the nations of the world. Kibbutz Galiyot. Kibbutz Galiyot that our late Nevi'im said, that's a sign of the Geula. Kibbutz Galiyot. Bringing together the people from all over the world, that's Kibbutz Galiyot. That's a sign of the Geula. That's a sign of the eternal redemption. There are people in this country right now from over 100 countries in the world. That's not Kibbutz Galiyot. There are more than 80 languages spoken in this country. 80 languages. That's not Kibbutz Galiyot. We're on the train. We're on the boat. We haven't arrived. They're rough waves sometimes, but we're on the way. Bring us back standing upright to our land. Proud. When did we have a chance? We didn't have a chance to fight back. From Mitzrayim on, we just wanted the ability to be able to fight back. We weren't able even to fight back. That was Hester Panim. Now that we're able to fight back, not that it's good to fight, that I'm not glorifying, not Sahal, God forbid, it's a necessary evil. But that we're able to fight back is the opposite of Hester Panim. It's the Gilui Shechina. It's HaKadosh Baruch Hu giving us a chance that we haven't had. Let us have our eyes see you coming back to Zion. We've come back to Eretz Zion. We say in benching Eretz Chemda Tova Rechava. My father was right. He didn't need my approbation. My father knew what he was talking about. But Eretz Chemda Tova Rechava. It's in Eretz Chemda Tova Rechava. We sang the song HaTikva. Liot Am Chavshi Ba'artzeinu. 2,000 years. HaTikva Bat Shnot Alpayim. The hope, all it was a hope. Hayinu Kecholmim. We dreamt. For 2,000 years, we dreamt. Hatikva bat shnot alpayim, liot am chavshi ba'artzeinu. To be a free people in our own land. To be a free people. We're a free people. We have sovereignty. You'll forgive me, the Christian church did not know for a long time. I'm not sure they're up to it till today. How to handle the fact that we're no longer the wandering Jew. Their fundamental basic religion, and you can see that very clearly in the drushot of the Rav of Rav Soloveitchik, and it's just simply there. Their religion doomed us because of what we so-called did to be the wandering Jew and never to be sovereign again in our own country. That was a basic fundamental tenet of the religion. Blown sky high. No such thing. We're home. We're a sovereign country, our own. Shana Haba Yerushalayim twice a year, Pesach, Yom Kippur, and more. All it is a plane ticket. And these things seeped into my brain and into my heart all my life. Unfortunately, even today, there are some people who, our rabbis tell us, Ein Baal HaNes, Makir B'Niso. The person who's the recipient of the nace doesn't always see his nace, doesn't feel his nace, is not able. Sometimes for some of these people, the light is too blinding. You lived in so much darkness that I think so much light all of a sudden is not bearable. So we still have detractors, even here, unfortunately. But for my family, it was always clear. The few times that we came on a trip to Israel, at first by boat for 2 weeks. We probably stayed here for 10 days, maybe, for 2 weeks, maybe, I don't know what. We traveled for 2 weeks each way. But my family knew where they were coming to. And so we got off the boat, we got off the plane, we got down on all four and kissed the ground. And that's what we did as a family when we came back. And that's what we do and our children do until today. Even in Ben Gurion Airport, on the tarmac. The minute we land, we kiss the ground. We had no question that we say hello with a bracha. We had no question that we sing Hatikva. We had no question that we saluted the blue and white. Blue and white, even blue and white. You know what blue and white? Anybody know what the blue is from? You can't answer me, unfortunately. I wish we could have an interchange. You know what the blue and white is from? It's tchelet. Comes from tzitzit. That's how the color of the flag is blue and white. From tzitzit. That's how it was found. So today's a fantastic celebration. Something that we must never take for granted. And you want to talk about Torah? And there are unfortunately those out there that don't love the religiosity of the country. What a mistake. Listen carefully, people. There has never been this much Torah in the entire world as there is in this country and supported by the government. I'll say it again. Quality, I'm talking now quantity only. God forbid those that are gone, the quality of that Torah may never be matched. I can't talk about that. But in terms of numbers, in terms of quantity, listen again. There has never, ever been as much Torah in the world as there is in Medinat Israel today, and paid for, subsidized by the country, by the government of the country. That's a fact. I mean, the famous names, if you remember Pinsk and Minsk and Slobodka and Brisk and all those names, look at how many people were in that base medrash. Nothing compared to what we have today in one corner in Yerushalayim. And so, there's no end to celebrate this home that is ours that we've come to. We're not guests. What a home. One of the most sophisticated countries in the world. I won't enumerate, and you know it just as well as I do, every field of human endeavor. The UN, maybe not reported to be our best friend, has to report in some of their surveys the happiness quotient. I hope you all read it. I think Israel was rated 11th in the world in terms of its population's happiness. People are happy. Not a butchering. If we wouldn't butcher, we wouldn't be what we are. But the happiest people rated by the UN. Things are great. Let us not be fooled by those who say things are not the way they should be religiously. Don't be fooled by all the naysayers. Don't be fooled by all those in every name you want to call the group. Don't be fooled by them, people. Well, you know what? I wish I could ask you another question. I'd love to ask you, what is the worst sin of Klal Yisrael in Tanakh? Hudi, you're disqualified again. What's the worst sin? And I suspect that the majority of the people sitting in front of me, I guess, maybe I'm judging wrong, would say Chet HaEgel. I can't see you, but shake your head if it's true. Most of you would say Chet HaEgel, the sin of the golden calf, was the worst sin of the Jewish people in the Midbar.
I was gonna have you call on Debbie.
Debs. Hi, Debs. Hi, Debs. Good to see you. Larry. I guess most Jews would say that. Hi, Debs. Most Jews would say that. I wonder if most of you would say it. Yonah Fuld disagrees, but I got somebody big whose shoulders I'm standing on, the Meshach Chachma. So I can get away with it. It was an Egel. And probably 3,000 people that were involved in it, whatever. And Moshe davened. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu forgave Bnei Israel. And life continued. The Meraglim spoke badly about Eretz Yisrael.
Eretz Yisrael.
The Meraglim spoke badly about Eretz Yisrael, and the people accepted their crying and their bitterness. There was no forgiveness. They had to die out in the midbar. They had to die out in the midbar. There was no forgiveness. There was no in between. There was no gray. All of them at over 20 had to die in the midbar. I guess if the barometer that we're judging which is the worst sin, the Meshach Chachma says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu was able to forgive. We bow down to a golden calf after he says, Anochi Hashem Elokecha. Hashem says, I am your Lord your God. Don't have another God. And we go and bow down to an ego, and he's able to forgive them. But your bad mouth, Eretz Yisrael, no forgiveness for that. And I will not name any names, and I hope you're not thinking of any names, but it doesn't matter what color hat you wear, or who you are, or what your title is. You can't badmouth Eretz Yisrael. Only see the good. We had greats. I remember some great stories that affected me, and that's what my mission was, to tell you what affected me. I guess you're hearing what affected me. Rav Kook. Rav Kook spoke about a group of people. It was a mashal, a parable. A group of people that were in the midbar, in the desert. Today, in the desert. And they were running out of their staples. They had no food left. They had no water left, and they kept walking and walking. Nothing. They got nowhere. Finally, they decided they're going to dig down and search for water. So they started to dig, and dug, no water. They continued to dig, and finally they came upon filthy, dirty, undrinkable water. And the second group gave up. First group gave up early on when there was no sight of water. The second group gave up when the water was undrinkable. Rav Kook said against the first group, I have no ta'anot, I have no complaint. They had no glimpse of water, no hope. If Jews over 2,000 years gave up, can't have ta'anot against them, can't have kindness against them. And believe me, the water's not dirty. The water's clean. The water's beautiful. But even if somebody thinks the water's not drinkable, what do? You keep digging. You keep digging until you get to clean water. And believe me, we've come to clean water. We've come to beautiful, delicious, sweet, clean water. But some people still see the water as undrinkable. Another great story that I remember from Rav Kook that made a very important, strong impression upon me, and I loved very much. It came from a Jew in America, a Jew from Denver, Colorado. And he came to Rav Kook with ta'anot, said that he was going to continue to live in Denver because in those days, we're talking back in difficult days, and there were things that were not exactly right over here. People, they were kibbutzim. Sometimes there wasn't Shabbos, sometimes there wasn't kashrut, sometimes there was free love. There were all kinds of interesting things going on at that time. And he said, Rav Kook said to him, so where are you going? He said, I'm going back to Denver. Said, Denver? Denver? You're going to Denver? I heard that in Denver, there's emphysema, there's all kinds of people with breathing diseases, with cancer, with breathing sickness. How can you live there? The man says to Rav Kook, no, you don't understand. People who are sick come to Denver to be cured because the air is so good. Rav Kook said, no, you don't understand. 2,000 years of people who have been spiritually sick have come home to the free land where the air is good and will cure them. And that was the way that Rav Kook thought. And for all those who think that everything has to be perfect, listen carefully, my best friends, listen carefully. In Mitzrayim, when we got out from Mitzrayim, we just finished celebrating Pesach. What did the Jews look like on the way out of Mitzrayim? What were the Jews like before Geula? The first Geula, nobody denies that it was a Geula by HaKadosh Baruch himself. Lo al yedei malach. HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself. What do the Jews look like? Mem tet shari tuma. Mem tet shari tuma. They were so far down that if they would have gone down one more step, they wouldn't have deserved Geula. That's when the Geula came. Mordechai and Esther, Kalim mikalim shonim. They were drinking from the kalim of the Beit HaMikdash. The Jews drinking from the kalim of the Beit HaMikdash. And that's when they were saved. Koresh. People open up Ezra and Nehemiah. Koresh gave permission after the first temple was destroyed, Beit HaMikdash, gave permission to build the second Beit HaMikdash. And that was the beginning of that Geula. And what were the people like? Please look at Ezra and Nehemiah. No Shabbat, no Yom Tov. They didn't know the Torah. They had to chase out their non-Jewish wives into marriage, completely down. And that's when the second Beit HaMikdash was built. So you want people to go and tell us right now that everything has to be perfect? Everything doesn't have to be perfect. Again, it was Rav Kook, I think, who said, Beit HaMikdash, Kohen Gadol, could go in, you know what it was like, once a year. Once a year you could go in. It's a Kodesh Kadashim. But if something was broken, a workman could go in any time of the day or night, any which way he was, to build the Beit HaMikdash or to build the Kodesh Kadashim. To repair. We don't have to judge the tzitzit of any of our greatness. From Herzl on, these are all people that helped us in dark times. And they're not to be knocked, like unfortunately, some of our brothers think that they should be doing. Our rabbis tell us, kima kima, slowly but surely, like the sun rises. The Geula will come slowly but surely. I'll take a breath and skip over for a second. I remember that some of these things we did in SAR. Those people that are old enough to remember, should I stop for questions or where's Sharon?
Your call, maybe. I'm here, Rabbi.
Well, yeah, good.
That's totally your call. I mean, we probably have like 8 more minutes, so maybe whatever you want. I'd love for obviously people to talk to you, ask you questions, but we also love hearing from you. So it's totally your call.
You have anything on chat that people asking questions they want answered? Otherwise, I'll go ahead. I'll finish up. Okay.
Okay, go ahead, guys. You're welcome to put it in the chat, and then afterwards we'll open it up to you. Thank you. Sorry, go ahead.
Thank you, Rabbi. Many years ago, I'm not sure how many people are old enough to remember, there was a threat in the whole world. At that time, one of the major exports that Israel was dependent on, and its finances, its whole economy was dependent on Jaffa oranges. You remember those?
Sure.
Jaffa oranges. The Arabs, Kedarkam Bakodesh, in their holy way that they always behave, they sent a rumor that they injected mercury poison into the Jaffa oranges. That was a lie. So what did SAR do? SAR sent Mr. Doyle of blessed memory with his station wagon to the fruit and vegetable market every day. And he brought back wooden crates, those wooden crates big wide wooden crates full of oranges. And we sold them at lunch, Jaffa oranges, of course, yeah. We sold them at lunch for 10 cents a piece and 12 for $1, and parents would pull up in their cars after school was over and they would say, give me a case. And we'd carry cases. Mr. Doyle, blessed memory, carry whole cases into people's trunks of their cars. And he would go back again the next day and the next day and the next day, and our refrigerator was filled in the kitchen from floor to ceiling with crates of oranges. When times were tough, he said, Mishloach Manot, Shlach Manot, only products of Israel. And at times we even brought them a place to sell at wholesale prices, lots and lots of products that were made in Israel that could be used exclusively for Mishloach Manot. I remember one year, these were things that we learned in SAR. One year we had a terrible, terrible year with 2 of our great parents. Unfortunately, were nifter. Or Yashir. And son and Barth. Sorry, that's the 70-year-old coming up here. Barth, Nebuch, those 2 people, parents of great children, great parents, and great children, passed away, and one of them, Mr. Barth, passed away in Shul on Shabbat, I think, right in Shul, Rabbi said. So, what do? Very simple. Every year, Rosh Hashanah, say Tshuva, Tztakim Avinu Roa Gzeira. So we decided at that time on the spot, actually, this is again something that I learned from my father, Alav Shalom, because he did it for my mother, Alav Shalom. We decided that we're going to do something to help save lives. We couldn't save these people's lives. We couldn't. But we're going to reach out and try to save people's lives. So we ran what was called at the time, I think, a run-a-thon, where students went and schnorred money for laps, that they would run laps, and we would purchase an ambulance. Not only did we, thank God, SAR, purchase the Kingsbridge, I think that was the name, Kingsbridge, the neighborhood over there, Kingsbridge ambulance for the volunteer Kingsbridge. We bought an ambulance for that local ambulance corps, but there was money left over, and we bought a second ambulance from Magen David Adon. And that's how children learn SAR what it was all about. So the bottom line, since there are only a few minutes left, is the fact that we have seen more miracles in these past 72 years than we saw in 2,000 years. each of us, if you remember, July 4th, 1976, 200 years after America, when boats with ships were coming into the Hudson River, and everything was supposed that coins were made in America, quarters, and everything was supposed to be the bicentennial of America, and stolen by the fact that this amazing, amazing rescue, Nisim Miniflos, happened in Entebbe. Yom Kippur War, they thought they were going to get us on Yom Kippur, the worst day. They would think would get us on the worst day possible. We're finished, Yom Kippur. And they succeeded a lot, never. But guess what? It was the best day for a sneak attack for us. Why? Because the roads were completely empty. Completely empty. The only day of the year that there's not a single car. You can ride bicycle in the streets. There's nothing, no cars. So the troops were in shul. They were all collected together. They were able to pull them up, and they were able to race to their places and to repel the enemy. 6-day war, 6-day war. The world studies the tactics and the strategies of the 6-day war. Soldiers, West Point, everywhere, they study the 6-day war to learn. There were more armaments poised against us in the 6-day war than in any battle in World War II. More armaments poised against Israel in 1967 than any battle in World War II. And in 6 days, it was over. Ladies and gentlemen, we never had it so good. We never had it so good. Ein lecha kates megule mizeh. Chazal tell us there's no clearer understanding of the end of days, of the Geula coming, than to see beautiful fruits, green land, trees. We've got it. It's right in front of our eyes. The Navi, in the worst of times, said to us, "O Dishama be'ara Yehuda yichutzot Yerushalayim kol sason kol simcha kol chatan v'kala." You all sing that. We all sing that every single wedding. Someday, the Navi says, in the worst of times, someday they'll be singing again in the streets of Yerushalayim. They're singing in the streets of Yerushalayim. Last night we went out. We couldn't go outside. We all opened our windows to the courtyard. And we sang together. The whole area sang together songs, one microphone, and everybody sang together. Weddings all the time. Oh, Tishama be'ara Yehuda v'chutzot Yerushalayim kol sason v'kol simcha kol chatan v'kol kala. We are having these beautiful songs today. Nothing new. Ladies and gentlemen, b'shem u'malchut she'achayanu v'kiyamanu v'giyanu. Thank you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for letting us live to be alive at this time. Why? I don't know. But thank you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that we are alive to see this magnificent time.
Rabbi Fuld, thank you very, very much. I enjoyed not only listening to you, but at the same time watching all those people who learned from you so many years ago, and I learned from you all the time, every day and every month and every time we speak. And thank you for making not only this day, but every day meaningful for all of us and for the thousands and thousands of students who are in SAR, a school that you deeply, deeply shaped and continue to shape. So thank you very much for that.